Richie here with your week 9 Saturday previews. The weekday previews, there's 10 games actually during the week, one on Tuesday, a bunch on Thursday and Friday. So these are my Saturday previews for week 9, and then we'll start with Clemson, Florida State. Florida State's been playing pretty well the last couple of games, but I think Clemson, one of the top teams in the country. Their quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, is playing well. They have a really good running back, Travis Etienne. I think Clemson, ends up winning this one. Wisconsin, Northwestern. Kind of a surprise. Northwestern's 4-1 in the Big Ten, and this is actually for the lead in that division between Wisconsin and Northwestern. I don't think it'll really be too close. I think Wisconsin, they have a Heisman candidate, Jonathan Taylor. A really good running game. I think Wisconsin gets that. Vanderbilt, Arkansas. Vanderbilt's got a good defense, but their offense can't seem to do anything at all. Arkansas, they've been bad all year. They had a good last game. Their offense at least is able to do a little bit. This probably will be close, but I'm actually going with Arkansas. Texas Tech and Iowa State. This could be a shootout. Because Iowa State, they're like a giant killer. They won their last 2 games. They've been playing really well. On paper, Texas Tech should beat them. Texas Tech, Alan Bowman's back at quarterback, and he's had 400 yards passing last week. And what should probably be a close game, I'm actually going with Texas Tech to win, but it could be a high-scoring affair. Wake Forest Demon Deacons taking on Louisville Cardinals. Wake Forest, they started off the season well. They kind of plummeted a little bit, but Louisville is just a bad team. I'm going to go with Wake Forest to bounce back and get the victory here. UMass taking on UConn, both not very good. UMass can pass it. UConn, David Pindle at quarterback anyway. He ran for 197 last week. And I think that's the difference. I think UConn gets win number 2 here behind that quarterback. Army taking on Eastern Michigan. Army won double overtime last week by a point. Eastern Michigan's finally figuring out ways to win close games and games. This could be a pretty interesting game, but Army, if they don't lead the nation rushing, they're like top 3 or so. And I think it'll be a little bit tough for Eastern Michigan to stop Army's rushing attack. So I think Army ends up winning that one. Purdue facing Michigan State. Purdue coming off a huge upset victory over Ohio State, and I don't really think it's a fluke. I know nobody pays attention to Purdue. David Blau at running back, DJ Knox at quarterback, or whatever, mix them up. DJ Knox at running back, David Blau at quarterback. Rondell Moore, one of the best receivers in the country. Michigan State, Felton Davis, their receiver, he's hurt. They have a decent quarterback in Brian Lewerke, but they haven't gotten really anything going rushing-wise. Michigan State's defense is good, but Purdue, I think, is actually pretty good. And I think Purdue, they're coming off a huge win, and I think they're good. Their record doesn't show up, but I think Purdue wins this game, actually. Central Michigan and Akron. Central Michigan's been terrible. Akron's, they're 3-3. They kind of been mediocre. This could be probably a close game. It might be sort of low scoring, but I think Akron ends up with the win in the end there. Bethune-Cookman taking on Nebraska. Nebraska finally got their first win of the year, their first win under Coach Scott Frost, and I think they rolled their second one. They should win this one pretty easily. Adrian Martinez, he's been great. He's a freshman quarterback, but he's been really, really good passing and running. Just their offense has been putting up 500 whatever yards a game. So Nebraska, they're going to end the season on a tear. They'll spoil at least one somebody's year. Next year, they're going to be really, really good. North Carolina taking on Virginia. North Carolina's been pushing everybody. They lost in double overtime to Syracuse, 40-37. Their offense has been good. But Virginia, they have a good quarterback, Bryce Perkins. Their defense has been really, really good. This could be close, but I'm going to go with Virginia. Virginia's playing great. They beat Duke. They beat Miami, 2 good teams, and I think they keep it going here. Southern Miss taking on Charlotte. So I'm just looking because I thought they already played. Because Southern Miss beat somebody. Oh, okay, it's UTSA. All right. So Southern Miss both have 3 wins. Southern Miss though has the better passing offense. Jack Abraham is winning like top 10 or 20 in the nation passing in terms of passing yards and passing yards per game. So I think Southern Miss, it'll probably be pretty close, pretty good. But I think Southern Miss ends up with the win. Coastal Carolina taking on Georgia State. Georgia State, they have potential in offense, but they can't seem to put it all together, defense, offense. Coastal Carolina, even though it's only their 2nd year in FBS, they are 4-3. They have a pretty good running game, and I think Coastal Carolina should win. This could be pretty close, but I think Coastal Carolina gets a win and gets one step closer to going to a bowl. TCU taking on Kansas. TCU showed something against Oklahoma. They didn't win, but they kept with them for most of the game, or half the game anyway. Kansas, they still one of the nation's leader in turnovers, and TCU does not look unbeatable. Kansas could very well win this game. I almost wanted to pick Kansas, but I went with TCU. I think TCU just has the better overall experience and just slightly better talent-wise. If Kansas can force turnovers, obviously that's a big key, in every game, but especially something like this where, it kind of could go either way. But I'm sticking with TCU with that. Oregon State against Colorado. Oregon State has one of the best running backs in the country, Jamar Jefferson, but he was hurt last week, so I'm not sure if he's really going to play. But Colorado is a really good team. They lost to Washington, but it was a hard-fought game. They have they have a really good running back in Trevon McMillian. Steven Montez is a really efficient quarterback. Laviska Shenault, a wide receiver, he's been hurt. I'm not sure if he's going to play, but even without him, I think Colorado should win. All right, now the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. The Florida Gators taking on UGA and the Georgia Bulldogs. Both teams are in the top 9. I don't know how Florida jumped UCF even after a bye week. It's weird to me, but you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go with Florida to win. Florida's pretty much owned Georgia over the last 28 years, basically. Yeah, I know that doesn't matter now, but it's a rivalry. Florida's defense is really good. Their offense is still kind of iffy, but Georgia's been, in my opinion, overrated them. I picked LSU to beat them a couple weeks ago, and LSU destroyed them, and I was not that surprised. I was a little surprised it was blown out by that much, but I wasn't surprised that Georgia lost. And I think they get to loss number 2. Gators win. Kansas State Wildcats taking on Oklahoma. Sooners, Oklahoma, Kyler Murray, he's a Heisman candidate quarterback. Kansas State, they always win a game they shouldn't, which I think they probably did earlier this year when a few weeks ago, they killed Oklahoma State. So I think Oklahoma gets that victory there. Iowa, Penn State, this is a huge game in the Big Ten. Iowa's 6-1, Penn State's 5-2, and Iowa's defense is playing really well. I'm actually going to go, this will be a little bit of an upset, I'm going to go with Iowa. I think Iowa wins. I think it'll be a close fought, game. They kind of usually are, but I think Iowa wins. Alright, one of the games of the day y'all don't know about. USF 7-0, ranked number 21, against Houston 6-1. Houston upset USF last year when USF was undefeated. Now USF has to go to Houston. I want USF to win. I'm from Tampa. I don't see it. USF has been so inconsistent. Their running game has been good. Jordan Cronkite, he's 5 straight 100 yards rushing. Their quarterback, Blake Barnett, he's been kind of up and down a little bit. He can run a little bit. He can pass for a bunch. But, man, Houston, they're one of the top teams in the nation in scoring and offense. Their quarterback, De'Aaron King, he's, in my mind, should be a total Heisman candidate. He passes, he runs, he does everything. He's got 23 touchdown passes on the year, and he runs all over the place. The USF defense better be prepared, or else they will get embarrassed. USF potentially has the offense to keep up. Their defense isn't bad, actually, but it's really about, can they keep up with Houston scoring wise? They can, but they've been way too inconsistent. So I'm actually picking. I think Houston wins. Unfortunately, I would love to be wrong. Y'all can rub it in my face if USF wins. It would be great, but I can't see it happening. I can't see it. Arizona State taking on USC. Both teams kind of struggling. Both teams coming off of losses. I think I picked USC to actually win this game, but this could go either way. Manny Wilkins, the quarterback, is really good for Arizona State. USC, I mean, JT Daniels, he's still a freshman. He's shown glimpses, but he's still a freshman. But I think I'm going with USC to win. It should be a pretty good game, though. Illinois facing Maryland. Both these teams they're about the same. Like, they run for a bunch of yards. They kind of suspect a quarterback play. I don't know. Illinois is 3-4. Maryland's 4-3. This goes a big way towards bowl eligibility. Maryland can win. They'll only be one win away. Maybe they can sneak it out. This is a coin toss, but I think Maryland does end up with the victory in the end. Duke taking on Pittsburgh. Duke lost last week. Pittsburgh, they're usually in their games. They've been in a bunch of their games this year. But I think Duke bounces back and ends up with a win. It'll be close for sure, but I think Duke wins. All right, Middle Tennessee State being facing Old Dominion. Old Dominion coming off a crazy-ass victory last week. For Middle Tennessee, Brent Stockstill, one of the most experienced quarterbacks in all of college football. He's, in the top 25 all-time passing in his career with well over 10,000 passing yards. Middle Tennessee, they're 4-3, 3-1 in the conference. I think Middle Tennessee should win. Northern Illinois taking on BYU. Both are 4-3. Northern Illinois is a good team and decent team in the MAC. BYU, they beat Wisconsin. They beat Hawaii. This could go back and forth, but I'm giving the edge to BYU. Northern Illinois has to go to BYU. BYU, I think. I don't know. I think they got something maybe going there. I think BYU should win. Cincinnati playing SMU, Southern Methodist. Cincinnati, they're coming off their first loss of the year. They're not ranked anymore. SMU coming off a pretty decent win against Tulane to put them at 3-4. But I think Cincinnati bounces back. I think I picked, and wins. But it could go, could go either way. But they have Michael Warren, the second running back. Desmond Ritter, quarterback, he's a freshman. In the last game, he did not play very well, but he'd been playing pretty well the rest of the year. And I think Cincinnati should bounce back okay. Number 12, Kentucky, facing unranked Missouri. Kentucky, they're doing a bit of smoke and mirrors. I think they get destroyed. I think Missouri just pummels them. I think it's like 42-7. I think Missouri kills them. I could be eating my words. I just do not trust Kentucky at all. All they have is a running back and a decent defense against nobody offenses so far, including the Gators. We're not great on offense. I think Missouri just destroys them. New Mexico, Lobos taking on Utah State. Two pretty good offenses. Utah State, one of the tops in the country in scoring. New Mexico, they can put up a bunch of yards. This could be a pretty good game. New Mexico could very well come out with the win, but Utah State, they've been winning all year. They're 6-1. I think Utah State continues on and they win this one. Rice taking on North Texas. Rice is pretty bad. North Texas, they have a really good passing game. Mason Fine's a really good quarterback. I think North Texas should blow them out. Washington and Cal. This will be a good one. Washington, they're coming off a nice victory over Colorado. California beat Oregon State. They're 4-3. Most people are going to say Washington should win easily. I don't think so. I think Cal could get the upset here. I'm going with Washington, but watch this. This game could be really meaningful for the Pac-12 and nationally, because Washington is still ranked 15th. Cal very well could win. Washington, you're on upset alert. That being said, I think Washington ends up maybe last second field goal, maybe they hold Cal late, trying to come back or whatever. Washington will win. UNLV taking on San Jose State. San Jose State, there's a couple of games that have been close to them, but mostly they've been pretty bad. UNLV, they're not a ton better. They have a really good running back in Lex Thomas, and I think UNLV wins. Washington State coming off a huge victory against Oregon. They're facing Stanford. Both are in the top 25. But But I went with Washington State. Stanford, they can't get their running game going. They've been able to pass this year, which might be able to keep them up with Washington State. But Washington State, Gardner Minshew, they're leading the nation in passing yards per game. And weirdly enough, their defense is like top 20 in the nation and overall. So I think Washington State, it'll be a pretty good game, but I think Washington State ends up with the win. Texas A&M taking on Mississippi State. I think this is Texas A&M. Mississippi State, they kind of floundered last week against LSU, and A&M's got pretty good defense. They have a pretty good offense. Trayvon Williams, one of the top running backs in the country. Kellen Mond showed some stuff at quarterback. Pretty much Mississippi State, they got Nick Fitzgerald. He can run it, but he can't pass it very well. I thought he could, but he can't. So I think Texas A&M should win. North Carolina State facing Syracuse. NC State, they are what I thought they were. They got pummeled by Clemson. Syracuse coming off an overtime victory. I think Syracuse actually wins. NC State, they're not that good, guys. They're not good. They'll get to a bowl. They'll win like 8 games. Syracuse will beat them. Boise State taking on Air Force. This is normally a game that gives Boise State troubles over the years. I mean, Air Force kind of give everybody trouble because of their offense. But I think Boise State's a better team this year. More well-equipped to handle Air Force. Brett Ripien at quarterback can throw it all over the place. Air Force will give up a bunch of yards. Even if they can move it up and down against Boise State, I think Boise State should win. Arkansas State taking on Louisiana. That's a pretty big game in the Sun Belt. Louisiana, they held their own against Appalachian State last week. They lost by 10. Appalachian State been destroying everybody. Arkansas State destroyed Georgia State last week. Their quarterback Justice Hanson had like 5 touchdowns. This could be pretty interesting, but I'm going to go with Arkansas State. I think they end up with the win there. Tulane Green Wave taking on Tulsa Golden Hurricane. This is even. Tulsa passes it. Tulane runs it. There's not a ton to say. I think Tulane ends up, they're maybe slightly better overall as a team. And I think Tulane should win. New Mexico State taking on Texas State. New Mexico State, their offense has been pretty good all year. They've been able to put up yards and sometimes points. Their defense is not very good, but Texas State is terrible on offense. So I'm actually going with New Mexico State here. UAB, one of the best teams in this USA, had a huge victory against North Texas. They're 6-1 overall, 4-0 in conference play. Facing UTEP to come in on a 19-game losing streak. UTEP has actually, the last 2 games, they very well could have won against good CUSA teams and are facing another good CUSA team. So UAB better be on their game. That being said, I think they will be. I think their coach is really good. Bill Clark, if he doesn't go to another team next year as a coach, you guys are missing out. He's doing a phenomenal job with them. And I think UAB should win. Tennessee taking on South Carolina. A nice rivalry. Southern rivalry. Both only have 3 wins. Both are about even. Tennessee's been playing better the last few games. South Carolina, like I said, they're even. There's decent. The quarterback play kind of goes to South Carolina if Jake Bentley is playing. So I'm actually giving the edge to South Carolina. But that'll be a pretty good game, like 23-20, 27-23, something like that. Florida International taking on Western Kentucky. Florida International are 5-2, 3-0 in conference. They've been doing really well. James Morgan, one of the better quarterbacks in the country statistically. Passing, Western Kentucky have been pretty terrible this year overall, everything. I think Florida International should win, and it shouldn't be close, but either way, I think FIU gets the victory, close or not. Notre Dame facing Navy. Notre Dame, I think they're overrated. They're not going to lose this game to Navy, but I think if you look at Notre Dame's schedule, they play like Florida State, Syracuse, Northwestern, USC. I think they lose at least 2 of them, but not this week, unfortunately. Navy could upset them, but I can't see it. Navy hasn't been playing very well, which is sad. That they probably won't make a bowl. If they make a bowl, it'll be because of a victory here, but I don't see it happening. So Notre Dame, I think, wins. Texas taking on Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, I think they lost their last two. They've been kind of down. Texas, they're riding high. They're number 6. I think they're going down. Oklahoma State, I don't trust Texas yet. Texas is better than they have been in years. I don't think they're unbeatable. And I think Oklahoma State is pissed off. It's at Oklahoma State. I think Oklahoma State goes and wins. Their quarterback, Taylor Cornelius, he's been pretty decent this year. Their running back, Justice Hill, he's one of the best in the Big 12 and in the country, in my opinion. I think he goes off on them, and I think Oklahoma State gets a huge, huge upset. I'm going Cowboys. Oregon taking on Arizona. Arizona is pretty bad. Oregon's coming off they lost to Washington State, but I think Oregon's still a better overall team. They should beat Arizona, and they should be able to blow them out. This will be Arizona. Khalil Tate at quarterback. He's been hurt. If he doesn't play, definitely blowout for Oregon. Not even close. All right, Hawaii taking on Fresno State. This will be a huge game in the Mountain West. Hawaii 6-3, 1 game away from bowl eligibility. Fresno State 6-1. Hawaii, one of the best passing offenses in the country. Fresno State, just one of the best teams in the country. Like, if you look at their stats, I keep calling them out, but they're like top 30, top 20 offense and defense overall. I think it'd be cool to see Hawaii win. It could be close, but Hawaii so far against the good teams haven't really shown up too much. So I'm actually giving the edge to Fresno State, but this could be a really good game, a fun game to watch. And the nightcap, San Diego State taking on Nevada. San Diego State 6-1, but Nevada's coming off a nice, pretty big win against Hawaii in Hawaii, putting Nevada at 4-4. San Diego State, their defense is good, their running game's good, but I'm actually giving the edge to Nevada. I think Nevada comes back here and they win. So those are my Saturday previews. Watch out for my Saturday reviews, our weekday picks, and I'm about to come at you with a stat attack. Peace.